Denver is going to the finals for the first time in franchise history. Huge congrats to them. As for Boston, will they suffer the same fate? The C's face elimination tonight in Miami. JJ, tell me this. How bad would it be if there's 2 sweeps for the NBA?
Well, for people at this network, it would probably be bad because ratings do matter, and I understand that we are in the media business, and I get that. But I'll say this. In terms of high-level basketball, watching Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Jimmy Butler, the undrafted Heat, Eric Spoelstra, I would be as excited as ever for a finals game. The fact that we have 2 guys potentially, and even if Boston comes back and win this, we'll say 3 guys, who have the chance to add their names to the list of active players who have been on a championship team. There's 5 of those guys right now. Somebody's going to be the 6th because LeBron's out. I think it's interesting because this is a point of conversation that we're all sort of having right now. We don't do this. We don't do this in the NFL. You know, we spend days and weeks talking about Lamar Jackson. He's in Baltimore. Aaron Rodgers, he's in Green Bay. Josh Allen, he's in Buffalo. And there's nothing against those cities. My point is they're smaller markets, right? We somehow have sold the NBA as a league where only 5 or 6 teams matter and a league where only 5 or 6 players matter. To me, this could be a watershed moment for the NBA. To me, this could be the best thing possible for the NBA and its fans because we have not done a good job of selling the rest of the NBA. I want to know more about Jimmy Butler. I want to know more about Nikola Jokic. I want to talk about Michael Porter Jr. coming back from multiple back injuries and being a key piece on a finals team. I want to talk about Eric Spoelstra, who has a chance to win a championship with Jimmy Butler. Could you imagine if Bill Belichick has Tom Brady and then Brady leaves and then Belichick gets back to the Super Bowl for the 2nd time in the span of 4 years? Would we be talking about Bill? Of course we would. This is what we do. And it's not just us, Stephen A. I'm not accusing anyone in this room or anything. This is just the way that we have sold the NBA. I don't love it. After game 1 of the Nuggets-Lakers series, I was on a show. I was on Get Up for 2 hours. I was on this show for 2 hours. I would say over half the conversation was about the Lakers and what they did. Oh, by the way, Nikola Jokic had his 3rd straight triple-double that game and had 34, 21, and 14. How much did we talk about that? We don't do a good job of selling what the NBA is, which is 30 teams, 450 players, multiple superstars. The fact that people are now being like, oh, I didn't realize Nikola Jokic was good. Well, let's put him on TV more. Let's talk about him more, Stephen A.
Well, first of all, I don't totally agree with you. You're not
That's
wrong
fine.
about. No. Listen, stay with me.
Yeah, you know.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong about everything you're saying. You're right about most of what you're saying. But I think, in all seriousness, you have to pay attention to what built the sport. And listen to me with this. Let's throw the NFL aside. They've established their sport as an event. I have literally witnessed pastors rework their Sunday sermons around NFL games. No, this has happened. You understand what I'm saying? They moved it up so they could be home by 1 o'clock to watch football. It's an event. And so because of that, that's different. They got 16, now 17 games as opposed to 82. That's number one. But number 2, and more importantly, J.J. Redick, the NBA became what it is because it gravitated to individuality. Even though the Boston Celtics were a great team and the Lakers ultimately were a great team, they sold Magic and Bird. Okay? Michael Jordan comes along. They sold Michael Jordan. And obviously all the names that we don't need to get into followed. They sold the individual. Miami had no problem with popularity, and nobody had a problem seeing Miami in the finals when LeBron was there with D-Wade. Everybody was looking forward to it then. In 2006, before LeBron got there, nobody had a problem with Miami in the finals when they saw D-Wade and Shaq. Okay? So it's really not about the market. It's about the individual. And sometimes when you talk about selling, yeah, we talked about, and I know you wasn't pointing the finger at first take. I'm not taking it that way.
Yeah.
But when we talked about the Lakers, right, we also used it as an excuse to talk about Jokic. Jokic was a 2-time league MVP. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows how great he is. But nobody necessarily cared to talk about him. The audience, and far more often than not, tells you what they're interested in. Now, you can talk about it. You can engage in dialogue. You can debate the greatness, or there is no debating the greatness of Jokic. And from a basketball perspective, because obviously you played on an elite level and you were associated with the NBA, and knowing the game the way both you and Eminem do, okay, there's a level of appreciation that you have for the purity of the sport and the competition it breeds that should be rewarded. It shouldn't be maligned in any way, especially not by somebody. I'm not where I am today if it were not for the NBA. Basketball has done wonders for my life, and I'm incredibly grateful and thankful. And the NBA will always be promoted on this show. But please understand, in the same breath, we also have to pay attention to what the audience wants to hear too. And when you throw out all of these guys, the Jimmy Butlers, the Bam Adebayos, and now it's an undrafted players, the Duncan Robinsons, the Gabe Vincents of the world, Caleb Martin, Strus, and these boys. And then we look at Denver. Jamal Murray been a star for years. Jokic can ball. Aaron Gordon's no scrub. I thought he got robbed not once, but twice in a damn dunk contest. That's why I never blamed him for saying I ain't going to participate in it anymore, because he got robbed, okay? There's a whole bunch of very interesting and compelling names that I anticipate will be in this upcoming NBA Finals, and it's worth watching. But it is important to note the audience is telling you something, A, and when you think about it, could have been L.A., Boston, the tradition and all of that other stuff, but B, the fact that it ended in lopsided fashion, and there's expected to be anyway, about a 9-day gap, is problematic. If both series had gone 7 games and you got an opportunity to see them go at it, I think you'd look even more forward to Miami, Denver. But the fact that they just obliterated the competition, I know Boston's not finished yet, but they're about to be finished tonight. Just like I told y'all the Lakers was going home last night. Boston's going home tonight. This is over, okay? So you got the fact that they got obliterated. That is also what resonates and compromises that matchup that you're looking forward to as well.
So I'm going to stand in the here and now because I'm with JJ. I'm thrilled for the basketball of this potential finals matchup.
So am I.
Right, Stephen A?
Yes,
although I know you have your preference of one city over the other.
Yes.
But at least you got
Yes.
potentially you'll have Miami.
I'm gonna have Miami.
I think the next 9 days is interesting. And it is an opportunity, to tie together both what you and JJ just said, in that we have this run-up to, as members of the media, to sell what potentially would be the finals and explain why the names that may or may not be household names to a casual basketball watcher should and could be something that is worth investing your time in. I think that sweeps are not, in general, I don't think that the league likes sweeps, right? You want to see competition. You want to see guys go head-to-head. We live for Game 7s across sports. But I think the run-up to the finals will serve almost as a test case. Like, I'm not sure when we've had this type of break to really sell what a matchup could potentially be with teams that are not as well known or is not marquee in the traditional way. So I think it's a cool opportunity for us to lead with the Nuggets as opposed to the Lakers, and lead with the Heat as opposed to the Celtics potentially. And so, yeah, that's the role that we play in this one.
Stephen A., I think you brought up some really great points in response to what I said. And look, I understand the NFL as religion. I also recognize that the NBA was sold and built on Magic and Larry and Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Shaq and Steph and LeBron. Right? The league exists in its current capacity and popularity because of those guys, and they certainly carry more weight. This season was the most parity in the NBA since, I believe, 1984.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And when you look at the things we just talked about in the first hour with LeBron at 38, Steph at 35, not knowing how many more chances these guys are going to get to win, look, this is in some ways a passing of the torch. This is an opportunity for us in media and the NBA as a league to start selling other players. Absolutely. I mean, that's all I'm trying to get at, is that if someone is upset because we're not getting Lakers Celtics, outside of course, the NBA and media, if someone is upset about that, I have to question, to Monica's point, what kind of basketball do you like watching? Mm-hmm. Because these two teams play beautiful basketball,
right.
Stephen A.
Right, but stop right there. That's the answer, JJ, and that's why folks can't be maligned for it, because we're talking about the layman. Basketball lovers have no problem with what we've been seeing from Miami and what we've been seeing from Denver. But the layman out there, like, for example, football is popular because you got a bunch of people that don't even know about football that want to get in front of the TV screen because they want to see what everybody else is gravitating to. And it's like an event every week. So the basketball fan out there, fine. But for the person that doesn't know basketball, the individual is what coaxes them or provokes them to come and watch. And that's what we.
But that's chicken and the egg. Is that on the player? Is that on the player or the media? Let me just say one other thing, JJ, really quick. For the NFL, it really is comparable, right? I'm on the show year round with Stephen A. We're still talking about Aaron Rodgers